Work gets done by people working together, because a team, as you know, can accomplish way more than one person. And what has to happen is everybody has to respect the other person's area. Everybody can't do the same thing or be the same thing, or we won't as a collective gain as much. We won't as a collective learn as much, and we won't as a collective be able to utilize as much information as we can. If everybody does the same thing and is in the same area, we're going to be limited. So that's why there's people who do different studies. There are people who study the economy. There are people who study how money is made, like manufactured. There are people who study electricity. There are people who study water. There are people who study the soil. There are people who study fruits. There are people who study vegetables. There are people who study, different types of animals. There are people who study only snakes. There are people who study only lions. There are people who study only giraffes. There are people who study birds. There are people who only study a specific type of bird. There are people who study insects. People who study the human brain. People who study how people recover. People who study religion. People who study the truth, just trying to find the truth of why we're here. They dedicate all their time to trying to find why we're here and God and, things of that nature, and being spiritual and things of that nature. And it's done as a collective. One person can't study all those things. And so humankind has constantly worked together. Even the humans of past lives, they've done studying for us today so we can, go where they left off. I say that to say everybody doesn't have to be in one area doing one thing. There's a lot of areas that can be looked at, studied, and made a career out of, or made a hobby out of. But I will say, there are popular areas. There are areas where people can study at and work and be in, where they're more popular. The person gets more credit, they get more prestige, they get more popularity if they work in certain areas than other areas. And maybe sometimes working in other areas may not seem worth it. I get that. I can see how, trying to be an influencer may seem like it pays off way more than being, some type of person who studies ants or, studies something in nature. And that's the thing about culture, because culture, depending on the culture you're in, we lift up different types of people. And certain careers have more appeal. They have more of a cool factor than other careers in other areas. But without some of those so-called uncool areas, or areas that aren't looked at as cool, we wouldn't be as far, technology-wise, or just, knowing about the world-wise. A lot of the uncool areas are actually more important than some of the areas that get more light. Working with trash, that doesn't often get most people a lot of cool points. But everybody would definitely be mad if there wasn't a trash man, a trash person to come pick up their trash every week. Then it would become a problem. That's more important than an influencer. But it doesn't, get the cool points. There had to be somebody that studied how we're gonna be able to get trash from everybody every week. There had to be somebody that studied, how we're gonna dispose of this. Where is it gonna go? Somebody had to study that area, just like any other area. So that's why I say I think it's important that we respect, different areas, not just a couple. And people should study more than one area.